Hello and welcome to using your voice using your voice to create. And I'm Eena, and we have Sylvia, all the way from Venezuela.
But so happy to be here. I'm glad we
Yay!
can connect from all around the world.
Yeah. So, what brings you guys to this Zoom call, and what would you guys like to talk about? What would you like to know about being your voice, or about using your voice to create? Like, I don't know about you guys, I've used my voice a lot to stop me, and then apparently realizing that's not even my voice. So what would it be like to actually be able to create using your voice, and what's that even? Do you want to talk about that, Sylvia?
Well, it's interesting. So, wow. There's been so many different things that I've either thought my voice needed to be growing up in a family of 5 girls. I thought it was to boss them around and tell them what to do because they didn't know what to do. That was my point of view. that was my purpose. Then I chose to be an elementary school teacher, and I thought my voice was to then educate the kids. And then as I started to choose something different, I started to notice that, and with the Access Consciousness tools, that my voice was something totally different. It was more of who I be. That really was the voice that created and contributed to everything I chose. So really, it's incredible how Right Voice for You and this specialty program that it is has weaved in so much of what even being you is. Muchísimas gracias.
Oh, por favor, no faltaba más.
This gentleman just brought me some wonderful earplugs. We'll hope that works great.
Mi nombre es Andrés Colina. Cualquier cosa me busca.
Gracias, Andrés.
Me solicita y yo le auxilio.
Ay, gracias. He's my savior here.
Ya le voy a poner mi nombre.
Gracias. Can you hear me well now? Wonderful. So speaking about voice, right? And then again, just even this energy of not having everything correct or perfect, still not being stopped to still have your voice and share with people and have a conversation with people. So along the way with Right Voice for You, and even this energy about being you, when you are being you, you are an irresistible voice. So the gift for me with all these tools and everything I've chosen, being here in Venezuela now, we don't always acknowledge the gift that our voice is in the world. So for me, it's like how many of us have judged that you need a huge platform, and that maybe your conversation with, I don't know, just say the bellsman or the person helping you with your luggage. I mean, all of that contributes to creating something in the world. So for me, that's kind of been the new thing. It's like every little interaction I have, whether I speak or don't speak, creates something in the world.
Absolutely. And I love that about you. It's like it's irresistible. And yeah, it's also like the willingness to have like no point of view, and the willingness for it to show up in any way, and then be able to really play with which way that's showing up, and then kind of having that knowing of what is it that you desire to create. Like a big piece of that for me has been the constant ask of, hey, what is it that I desire to create here? Like with this situation, or with this person, or in this conversation, or with my business, or in my life, or with my partner or husband, or with Sylvia, what is it that I desire to create? And it's sort of like it's not like entirely defined, but it keeps showing up and it keeps changing, and it keeps shifting, which is like the fun of living, really. And I think that's what has really been the gift of Right Voice for You for me, to be able to actually like be present with the being, with the person, with the situation, no matter how it's showing up, and be willing to know what would my voice be. Like, it's so easy to go into, like, if you're being yelled at, to yell back. If you're being if someone is talking in a certain way, or like how I'm in Chandigarh right now, which is my hometown where I grew up, and I'm in my mom's home, and I'm becoming so aware of like all the things that I've picked up But I can now see it as like something that, oh, I have a choice with, that I don't have to be like that. But I can choose every 10 seconds to be like, hey, what would I like to be here or in this situation? Which is,
And
yeah, the adventure of living.
And I love that you're saying that, Ina, because how many of us right now, our voice isn't truly our voice. It really has been the reaction or resistance to everyone around us, everything around us, what we've seen other people choose. And really, this discovery of just even the questions like, wow, what is my voice? And how it shows up in so many ways. For me, it's also the willingness to be willing to be whatever energy is required in the situation that I'm aware of will create the most. And it's like, okay, what's required right now? And, I have a son who's now 19, and I've gotten to play with the tools, not from like I've had to use, not had to, but I've chosen to use a really strong voice at times going, okay, let me try this. Let's see how this works. And to see the change of what it shifted in the energy and what he then became aware of, I was like, wow. But it wasn't from anger. It was really, okay, what will this energy create? If I have a voice like this, and yet I
And
keep
that is like
asking more
from
and more.
the,
It's like, okay, what other energies? Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, like when you're saying that, it's like the willingness to be that intensity, but like with, like, I love what you talked about, like the curiosity of it. I wonder what's this going to create, and then see what's creating, and then know that you still have choice the next 10 seconds. That's so cool.
But for so long, that was not an energy I was willing to choose. I was not willing to have the strong, intense voice. I grew up in a home where that intensity meant someone was in trouble. So it's like I wasn't willing to be that. I would like run away if that energy was there. It's like, okay, I'm out of here. So the willingness to notice certain energies of what we judged as right or wrong and good or bad, it's like those are the energies that actually control us. So in Right Voice for You, it really is that exploration. It's like, okay, if you can be any energy, and through the play and so I just finished a 3-day masterclass here in Venezuela, and the shift in the changes of people dropping their barriers, being vulnerable, being willing to be any energy, being willing to be silly, getting out of the perfection, getting out of having it right was amazing. It's like, I know there's new things available. There's new choices available they didn't have before that they have now. And for me, that's the gift of having Right Voice all around the world with so many facilitators. And I'm excited to come to India. Every time I go to a new country, I receive so much. So what do you all know about what it is to have your voice, or where you limit having your voice, and what you desire to have in the world that we can all contribute to each other? Because I know that's changing the world.
There's a question from Swati. She says, it's a question. She says, I have always been comfortable speaking in person, only on phone or any other medium. I have a point of view. It doesn't sound like me. What can I do about this? You want to take that?
Wow. Yeah, I would first say, I don't know if everybody that's on here with us today is familiar with access consciousness tools, but the first thing is we be willing to let go. And we often say, destroy and uncreate everything you've defined what your voice sounds like. Because I think we have so many definitions of what we think our voice sounds like. For some of us that speak, different languages, sometimes it's the accent that we stop me. So what about your voice and the sound of your voice are you using as an excuse and justification to not speak? And everything that is and everything that brings up, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all that? I'm not sure if I froze there. Could you hear me, Ina?
You did, yeah, you did crack up. If you could
Can you
repeat
hear me, or
that.
am I frozen?
We could hear you like crackling a bit, and but
Part of it
you
really
we could.
was this, you know, for
So I wonder if you heard that, Swati and everyone else. But it was really like there's so many. I remember when I used to sing. I would sing in this voice, and there would be, I would go into this really shrieky, shrilly sound, and my entire life, pretty much till few years back, since I started doing the right voice for you, is I would stop myself the moment it would go to that really shrilly, cheeky pitch, because somehow I had decided that's not okay, that's too loud, that sounds like certain singers in the industry that I didn't really associate or like listening to. So there were so many definitions and points of views around that voice, and what I really when I really allowed myself to actually go there and allow myself to sing anyway, I suddenly it changed and I had choice. So that's awesome, Sylvia. I was like, spot on. Like, how much do we actually use that to stop ourselves from even choosing because it's sounding in a certain way, or because it looks like a certain way, or because it is because, and everything that is. What would it be like to actually be able to choose it anyway and see what's beyond that, or be able to perceive what's beyond that, or have what's beyond that available to you? I hope that helps. Did you want to add something to that, Sylvia?
Actually, I think we lost everything that Sylvia said. And yes, I do get it when you say that, because I realize that that is what actually stops me from showing myself or being seen and heard.
Cool. So what if you allowed yourself to pick up the phone and talk anyways, and then see how you can play with it, and then see, okay, I will try this, and then I will try this, and then I'll see what that, because none of those is you really. Like none of the tones is the definition of you. It's just a choice that's available to you at any given point. All these choices, all the different tones in the, we have a beautiful exercise of the harmony and I forget.
melody.
Melody. Thank you. So, how much do we try to actually make our voice based on to fit in or to sound like everyone else around us, or what we've decided that, or someone else in our around us has decided this is the right or correct way to be. Whereas you have all of those voices, all of those tones, all of those things available to you, and you can choose, like Sylvia shared about her willing to be the intensity and that particular energy with her son, and from the curiosity of her, and let's see what that creates, and then she has another choice, and you have another choice the next 10 seconds.
I love this other question that's coming up. It says, if no voice is mine, how will I come to know which is my voice, my actual true voice? And that's, I almost want to say that's really advanced. And it really is beginning to, you begin to like take off all the layers of all the definitions of who we think we are, what our voice is, what our purpose in the world is. Like once you begin to take all those layers off, there's an energy that becomes present. At least that's how it's shown up for me. It may show up for you different, but you will have a sense and a knowing, this, through some of the exercises we do in Right Voice for You, and just beginning to get a sense of where that lightness is for you. But truly, even beyond that, it's the questions like, what would you like to create in the world? That's been a big one right now for me and in the classes, because you can have whatever your voice it is that you want to have. And yet, if there's no sense of what you'd like to create, then for me, it's almost like, okay, then why have a voice? So what would we all like to see in the world, or what do we know is possible? That then it really is like, wow, what medium? Is it through writing? Is it through painting? Is it through cooking? Is it through singing? Is it through dancing? I mean, because having your voice is really almost this expression of what you get to bring out to the world that creates an energy and possibilities for people to know something else is available. So it's not just the spoken word. It's also the silence, which is the magical piece of diving deeper into what it even means to have your voice. So I don't know if that actually answers your question, but if you could begin by going, wow, if nothing of what I've defined is my voice, what else would then be available? And it almost, for some people, there becomes this like blank. It's like, well, now there's nothing. And in this class that I just had here in Venezuela, a lot of people talked about, they woke up and it was like, there was this emptiness and they frantically were looking for what they could grasp from their past of who they were. And it's the sense of, yes, it's an invitation to space that's very uncomfortable. But then like Eena said, you get to choose. And it's an ongoing choice. And that's the adventure of living that is uncomfortable. And I think we forget, it's not about reaching the state of being comfortable. It's really, are you willing to be uncomfortable and always have choice and always know that you can create?
Yeah, thank you. And it's also like, to add to that, like when you're being your voice and you're not defining it, it kind of goes beyond your profession and beyond one thing. Like when you're being your voice, you would be your voice when you're cooking or when you're serving that to someone, or when you're writing. Like one thing that really shifted for me was that I thought I was a designer, so everything had to fit into that bill. But when I really started asking, hey, what would be my voice here, or what truly is my voice, that's sort of filtered through writings, through a book being published, through videos, through Zoom calls, through my business, through my creation, through my products that don't have anything to do with as such with right voice access or access tool, right, or facilitation. So when you're actually when you're choosing to, what Sylvia is asking, like asking us and inviting us all to, is being present with and asking, hey, what do I desire to create here? Like, what do we desire to create on this Zoom? What would you like to receive? What would you like to create? This creation is not like Eena's and Sylvia's call. It's we're creating it together for something different. So what is it that we would like for all of you to have, everyone to have their voice in the world? What is it that you desire to create with this? And then what question would you ask? What would you be? What would you voice? And even when you're not typing your question or you're not voicing it, it's there for us to receive and tap into.
And I love it. Recently, Dr. Dane, one of the things I've heard him say a couple times now in these recent classes is that when we talk about, having your voice in the world, or you being you and changing the world, it really is like there's the world like all around the globe, right? And yet there's the world that you, right here, you, and everything that's there for you and all your interactions, that's a world. So really it's like, I think there's a question, how is being your voice and being you related? Well, I would invite you to kind of be with the question, what do you know about that? What do you know about being your voice and being you and how they're related? And just kind of be with the question, because one of the other incredible gifts of Access for me is that it's not about the facilitators having the answer. It's for us to really be a space of no point of view, no judgment, no conclusion, and ask you the questions for you to actually know what it is that you know. So what do you already know about that? Being your voice and being you. Because if you're pretending to be someone you're not, are you truly having your voice? So everywhere any of us has been pretending to be someone, something we're not, that keeps us from truly tapping into our voice and the possibilities we can bring to the world that maybe no one else can bring the way we do. Would you all be willing to destroy and create all that times a gazillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pan pak, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And for anyone who doesn't know that, that was the clearing statement of Access Consciousness, tool of Access Consciousness. You can find out more on theclearingstatement.com. So there's like, at the moment you ask that question as well, like it's sort of like I started like getting this whole space and different energy. So what if the fun bit about asking the question is it allows you to receive the awareness and the possibilities and the choices that are available to you now. not based on what you might have defined yourself as or someone else has defined yourself as, defined you as. So there's Kanika, like what we were talking about as well. Like Kanika's, I'm loving it. Thank you for your questions, guys. There's so many people working for me, like cooks, servants, gardens, graphic designer. So how do we be that different voice with all? There are times I will be really kind and soft. Sometimes I'm harsh and rude. Do you want to talk to that?
Well, first of all, do you have any judgments or points of views of any of those? You know, there's some people that have judgments about being too kind or being too soft. There's other people that have judgments and points of views about, hey, you shouldn't be harsh, you're being rude. So I would begin by destroying and uncreating everything you've decided or concluded about any of those energies. And everywhere you've concluded and decided that you should use one at a certain time or at a different time, because it really is everything we've concluded and decided that limits us from being totally aware of what energy is going to create the most in that situation. So everything that brings up, will you guys all destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nice shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yep. And also be aware, because these definitions are there to control. So you want to be aware of, like I was in a conversation recently and I was talking and someone said, relax, Eena. And you know, that's like, I'm like, dude, I'm not relaxed. So, but it was totally from that curiosity again of like, I wonder what that's going to create. And then I was seeing, okay, what's that creating? And so it is really willingness. Like this is really an invitation for you to be present in your life every 10 seconds, knowing that you have total choice and you can go anywhere, even in a conversation. Like you can go, like if Sylvia and I sat down and said, we are going to talk about these 5 things, and then that is going to be all that we're going to talk about. We're not going to listen to anything that anyone else has to say on this call. You can all see and perceive where that would go, right? But it's really the willingness to be present with, hey, I wonder what we can create here and where can we go with this? And then willing to see what are the energies that are presenting themselves, what are the things, what are the questions, what are the asks that we can actually access and give a voice to, or give a voice to that will create a different possibility.
And it's also the willingness to not judge you as well, because there might be a time you choose something and it doesn't create what you'd like to create. And then again, going, okay, actually, every choice is going to give you more awareness. And the gift to have more awareness without judging what you chose and what showed up, it's like you will increase your awareness. So truly, do you desire to have more consciousness? And really, it's choice after choice after choice. And if no choice is right or wrong, it's like, oh, wait, that actually didn't create what I thought it was going to create. Okay, when did I actually know that wasn't it? So then you choose again and you choose again. And that level of kindness and space that you can have for you to know that you can always choose is incredible and super powerful.
Thank you for that. So Kokil says, many times I share about me and my life with someone, and then all of a sudden the person just stops all communication with me. When that happens, I go into the wrongness of me and blame myself for having expressed myself. Oh, I'm going to let you take that, Sylvia.
Well, I love that when there was one class recently where I said something to Gary and he's all like, well, for years he's told me, shut up. One, because he says so many of us love to share. And recently he's all asked, who can receive? Because not everybody can receive. And this is for all of us. Like what we're aware of is possible might be so much greater than what people can receive, that sometimes the smallest little thing that you share with someone might change their reality completely. And yet we have actually maybe chosen so much more, desire so much more, that we think the whole planet wants that, and they don't. So first of all, like, what if you didn't have to share with people? What if you could ask them in question? And there's an exercise that we play with in Right Voice for You. It's called being interested or interesting. And the gift of that is that when you go to ask a question, you are being interested in the person, which is so different than when you're talking about what's going on for you that makes you interesting. And I've played with that, and I realize I like to be interesting. And if I don't judge myself, I'm actually aware of when I'm being that. And yet when I'm aware of it and then choose something different and begin to ask a person a question and be interested in what's there and available for them, it changes their world more than anything I could have shared about me. So what else would you like to add to that, Eena?
Yeah, like that was brilliantly put. Shut up. It's like, and I totally get that, like the thing of being interesting and interested. And also, if you look at the world, again, like really talking about what do you desire to create, if you look at the world and bang on, I catch myself being interesting all the time, but how much fun can you have? And then you know that you have a different choice again. Also looking at that, what is it you desire to create allows you to really get the sense of, look at the world. It's full of people who want to be heard. And it was really interesting because one of the calls sessions, there was someone who was asking me, hey, I go to these places, and she was actually this one person, maybe in the whole party, who was more interested in people. And she was like, I feel so uncomfortable not talking. So like Sylvia said, are you aware what they can or cannot receive? And what if that is your capacity and your strength? And the other is, in a world full of people who are actually, we're literally taught you have to be interested, otherwise you won't, you have to be interesting, otherwise you won't get the job, you won't be a leader, you won't, like all the definitions that are out there. In a world full of people who are who are wanting to be heard and no one is being heard, what is a different space and different energy that you can be that will actually create a world and a future that you desire to be part of, to live in, or to leave as a legacy? And everything that allows you to perceive, know, be, and receive that can be destroyed and create it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pot, all natural boys and beyonds. So if you could leave that out of the equation of that you have to be interesting, who or what would you show up as? And everything that allows you to perceive, know, be, and receive that in every moment can be destroyed and create it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pot, all natural boys and beyonds. Coquille, I hope that helps. It's a damn it, that awareness thing. I
actually,
know.
this thing of being interested and not interesting, but somehow too many people want to know about me. So then I feel that people want to know about me, my work, so I have to share. And then when I share, and then they just like cut off all communication. I don't know that where did I go wrong?
Yeah, the tricky thing is when someone asks, you have to be willing to ask yourself in your awareness, what is it that they can hear? What is it that they can receive? Do they really even want to? Like, you would realize that they might, like, how many times have they asked you a question and then gone and rattled about themselves?
Actually, not many.
Okay.
So I wonder what they truly are asking. And if you would speak to what they're asking, just continue to be in the questions. Okay, what can they hear? And you speak, and then you might pause and then if someone continues to ask you, if you just share a short bit and they really are curious about what you're up to, what you're doing, and all of that, they'll keep asking. Sometimes, it's always been the question when people ask me, well, what do you do? I'm like, I do so many things. Like, where do I begin? And I was like, oh, just this crazy stuff that changes people's worlds. And some people don't ask me on that. Other people share. Oh, maybe one more thing after that. But what if you didn't have to conclude? You had to give them all what you're aware of or everything you're doing. Like Eena said, what can they hear? What can they receive in these 10 seconds?
Cool.
And are you also aware, I think you mentioned it briefly, like, do people go into a beyonds of everything you're choosing and being? They're like, start comparing themselves and if you do perceive that, like, Is there something you can say or be that will change something there if that's what you choose? And are you okay if that's where people go? Are you okay that people might compare themselves, feel envious, judge themselves? Like, what if hashtag that wasn't your problem? Hashtag not my problem.
Yes. Thank you, Sylvia. That and Eena too. That was really a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you
You're
for pointing.
welcome.
I love that hashtag. Not my problem. Cool. So Sangeeta's asked, what question can I ask if I would like to write a book?
I love that. I've had whispers of books, and one of the things, I don't know if you've heard this, but if you haven't, maybe you'd like to start, whether it's on your phone or a little booklet, start writing all the awarenesses and creations that come into your awareness. Maybe it is write a book, and then ask, is now the time? And then ask the entity of the book. The book, if it's already whispering to you that it'd like to come out in the world, it has information for you. So where can you begin a conversation with the book and begin to go, okay, what do you know? What would you like to invite me to write about that people can hear, that will, whatever it is. But it's these beginning to ask these questions. And then another invitation that I so love, just the ease of creation that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, shares. He's all, start writing maybe 10, 15 minutes a day and stop. Because then it's this it changes the energy of having to have it all written out, setting aside 2-3 hours, whatever it is. It's like begin to play with the book and see what else and other information it has for you. And for some of you, if the information comes so quickly, you may want to start doing audios. It might be easier to then transcribe the book. But ask, how would the book like to play with you? Yeah. So that would be mine. What about you, Eena?
That was perfect. One more thing, that in case that if you're looking at a lot of times by the time you start writing, you've already reached a point which is you've already changed and you're already being this different space. So a lot of times what happens is that you go like, oh, this is totally redundant or this is not relevant anymore. But be willing to ask that question whether it is relevant and who is it relevant for. Because you might have become different, but is that still relevant for the people who are looking for that? So be willing to, who are you writing for? It's not necessarily for you. It is a joyful experience for you, but you're also writing it for an audience or for people who are going to actually buy that book and read it. So be willing to be present with that as well, while including you, as per the question that Sylvia asked. So this was supposed to be a quickie, and we are having too much fun. We can go on. But is there any questions that anyone has? One last burning question before, or we're good? Cool. So thank you so much for coming on. And Sylvia is coming to India for the first time.
Yes, I am so excited.
Me too. So, and we have a Right Voice for You 3-day masterclass coming up in Mumbai from 20th, 21st, 22nd of this month. And we would actually love for you all to join us. And
I would love if you know anyone who's really asking for more in their life, because the way I see is that Right Voice for You contributes in all areas. And I've seen people change their reality financially, in their business, in their relationships, and how they show up in the world so dramatically that if you know anyone that this might be a spark of a possibility for them, please share that the possibility is there, that we will be in Mumbai at the end of this month. And yeah, what can we all create coming together for this class?
yes. And if you have any questions or you would like more details, you can get in touch with Sangeeta Kocher, and you can get in touch with me, and you can get in touch with Suchi. And thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you in India real soon, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sylvia and Eena. I believe this class is also available online.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So for those of you who can't come to Mumbai, you can also join this from anywhere in the world online. And how did we get so lucky? Thank you, girls. You've been so amazing. I can't wait to be in the class.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.